Hello and welcome to this After Effects tutorial. In this tutorial, I want to show how I made those rolling text titles that I'm using in my Icelandic videos. It's hard to describe, but the text just rolls. Well, you're seeing examples of that on your screen right now. So let's get to it. In After Effects, create a new project and save it. I'm just going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it onto my desktop because why not? And I'm just going to call it Rolling Characters. And this is not going to be a super large project because everything is built in After Effects. We don't have to import anything. We don't have to do anything. So here we go. Let's go ahead and create a new composition. I'm going to make it 4K and 2997 is good. And there you go. And I have some panels open here. I'm just going to dock this one here. I have the Essential Graphics panel because at the end we're going to export this as a motion graphics template. And then I have Rift, which is a plugin, if you will, that I bought from AE Scripts. So let's just go ahead and type something. These are rolling characters, right? And I'm just going to use the Align panel here to center it to the composition, and there you go. It could be anything. What I have in here, just so that you know if you want to follow along, is the font I'm using is Bebas Nue. I'm sure it's pronounced differently, but that's how I read it. Bold, and I'm using a size of 274. This is a one-line thing, so I don't have to worry about leading or anything like that. And I'm not going to worry about tracking or kerning or anything like that. So now that I have my text, I am going to add an animator for position. So here we go. Expand the text layer, go to Animate, Position. All right, so we're just adding an animator. You can see it in here. It's called Animator 1, and it has a Range Selector 1, and it has the position. We are going to keyframe the position so that it starts on the Y. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more, maybe even a little bit more, maybe about yay, which is minus 2,882, give or take a couple of pixels. So I'm just going to keyframe it there. I'll move in time. I'm not going to worry too much about the speed right now. Eventually, obviously, yes. And to add the other keyframe, I'm just going to reset the value. And this is what my clip is doing. All right, so just this. I'm going to add a little bit of a motion blur. I'm going to see how much blurry it's getting. Oh yeah, this is pretty good. All right. So now I'm going to select both of those keyframes. I'm going to go to Animation, Keyframe Assistant, EasyEase. And now I'm even going to go here and I want to make sure I'm looking at the speed graph. So I'm looking in the graph editor and I'm simply going to do about yay. All right, so I'll just zoom out and just watch. Yeah, there's just like a little deceleration there at the end that I'm digging. The next thing is this. I want to affect only one character. I don't want to affect all of them. I mean, eventually we're going to affect all of them, but not right now. I want to affect one character. So for that, I'm going to go to the Range Selector. In the Range Selector, all the way here at the bottom, there is Advanced. And expand that. And do you see here where it says units and the default is percentage? Let's go ahead and change that to index so that we affect from 0 to 1. And that basically affects only one character. So what I want to do is that I want to add one animator per character, right? But all in the same layer, all right? So I need an animator with an expression that will look to the previous animator and then just add 1 to the value. So that if animator 1 is on the start 0 and end 1, animator 2 will go from 1 to 2, animator 3 will go from 2 to 3, and so forth and so forth. So I need to duplicate this animator and then add an expression to animator 2. All right, to duplicate the animator is just Control or Command D. D for duplicate, and now I have my other animator. Now, to make this do what I want it to do, which is to look at the previous animator, I do need to add an expression. And now is the time for me to give thanks to Dr. Mathias Möhl, who helped me with this expression. I think helping is being too generous to me. He wrote it. And basically now I'm showing it to you, but I'm not taking credit. This is his. So Dr. Mathias Möhl from Mammal World, check him out. He is a genius. And on that note, let me just say this. Sometimes we are a little bit shy to ask for help. Then never do that. If you need help, ask. I did, and I received it, you know? Two things. You're going to find out that the After Effects community is pretty generous in both knowledge and time. They will give you their time. They will give you their knowledge, you know? And number two, even if you ask for help and you don't get it, you're in the same position that you were before you asked for help. So you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Ask for help. Again, I did, and I got it. So here we go. Let's write an expression for the start value of the range selector 1 of animator 2. Here we go. Alt or Option, click on the stopwatch. You can just start typing your expression now. We're going to establish 2 variables. One is going to establish the property that we are on right now. And the other one is going to establish or refer to the property on the previous animator. And here we go. var space myCurrentAnimator, CurrentAnimator, space equals space. Enter. We haven't defined it yet. All I'm doing is writing the variables. var space myPreviousAnimator, space equals space. Now, let's start defining it. This property, period, property group, and we are going to put a number 3 in here. What this does is that it defines how many levels you want to go down to find the property. Then dot propertyIndex. And there you go. We have just defined the current one. I'm going to grab this entire line and I'm going to copy it and paste it here. And now instead of group 3, I'm going to write group 4, and then I'm going to get rid of the dot property index, and I'm going to open parentheses. And of course, After Effects immediately closes it. And now I'm going to refer to myCurrentAnimator -1. That defines the previous animator. And yes, I know I got an error, but that's because I'm not done. We need now to define the value. All right, so myPreviousAnimator.selector, open and close parentheses, double quotes, which After Effects completes for you. And now type Range Selector 1, capital R, capital S, 1. Range Selector 1. This needs to be correct. And there you go. Then dot start +1, and then a semicolon for good measure. I'm just going to make sure that all my lines have semicolons, and voila, our expression is written. And don't worry if you couldn't type it in time or what. You know what? That expression is in the description of this video. All right? Again, thank you, Dr. Mathias Möhl. You are a genius. So here we go. Grab that entire expression and copy it. Enable the expression of the end parameter and paste. And now here, instead of saying start, it's going to say end. Ta-da! I know, little angels sing, the choirs, la, the light shining, all of that good stuff. This is amazing because it works. Look what happens now. I'm going to put the playhead. See how it's 2 characters? Now I'm just going to duplicate the animators. Look at this. Control D. See how Animator 2 is selected? So Control D, 3, 4, 5, 6, until all of the characters are taken. And that was 28 characters. You know what? I'm going to give it a couple more for good measure because it doesn't matter. All right? Not bad, right? Look at this. Look at the animation. I'm just going to play it. Boom. Now, I'm going to select the layer and press the letter U as in unicorn. And of course, what that does is that it shows me all of the keyframes. This is where this panel comes in. All right, so I can stagger these so one goes after the other. I can overlap them. I can do whatever manually. I can do that manually. Look, I can click here. I can move those keyframes, blah, blah, blah. But quite frankly, this exists. It's called Rift. I got it from a company called AE Scripts. If you're not familiar with it, aescripts.com. No, they don't pay me for this. No, they didn't give it to me. Yes, I bought it. So I'm just telling you, this is the bomb. So I'm just going to make sure that I select all of these keyframes, right? Oops, I missed one, I thought. I didn't. There you go. Got to make sure. And now with those keyframes selected, I'm going to go here. Look at this. Arrange sequence with a value of 80. I do want it in linear. So let's see what that does. I'm just going to click on this play button here. And it's going to sequence. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. And yes, I want the descending order. So let's see what this does. If I want it even more, I can apply this again. I can increase the value. It doesn't have to be linear. It could be whatever it is. All right. So if I click on the play button again, you see how now it did it more? Because it's basing on the currently selected keyframes. It's not like it does an undo. So let me see if I like the speed. And this speed is not too bad, but if I want to make everything faster, proportionally speaking, do you see how my keyframes are still selected? I can now press and hold the Alt key, which is Option on the Mac, and I can simply do that. And now everything is going to be a tiny little bit faster and is still maintaining the smoothness of that EasyEase and then the changing in speed that I made in the graph editor. Alrighty, now we need to add an animator for the fill color. All right, so here we go. I'm going to collapse the layer, expand it again, and I'm going to go to Animate, Fill Color, RGB. And the reason for that is because I want this to be a MORGT, in other words, a motion graphics template, and I want to give the user of that MORGT the opportunity to change the color. All right, so here we go. There it is. I'm going to change this to like a beige off-white type thing. That's too yellow. I'm digging that, and there you go. So I'm still going to leave this expanded because I'm going to duplicate the layer. I'm going to duplicate the layer. And there's a couple of things that I'm going to do in addition to duplicating, but right now I'm just going to duplicate the whole layer. So here it is, Control or Command D, and it duplicates the whole layer. I'm going to expand the layer and then expand text. one of the things that I want is for the layer that, the duplicate layer, to take its source text from the first one. So enable the expression, Alt or Option, click on the stopwatch, and then use the pick whip to go from the one source text to the other source text, and there you go, done. The next thing is that I need to add an animator for the fill color RGB. Same thing, I'm going to enable the expression, and then I'm going to pick whip so that it's taking its color from the main character animator. All right, so there you have it. I think we are good. Select both layers and press the letter P for position. And let's enable the expression of the top one. And I'm going to write more variables, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently now. So A space equals space, B space equals space, C space equals space, and then I'm just going to put A and B together in the square brackets. And there you go, a semicolon to end each line for good measure. And here we go. I'm going to put the blinking cursor, so the insertion line, after the second space of A, and I'm going to point at X. There you go, it writes it for me. Then I'm going to do the same for B, and I'm going to point at Y, and there's the semicolon. So right now, this expression is doing nothing. So we're going to go to the Y value, because this is an array. So X would be 0, and then Y would be 1. At the end of this, but before the semicolon, I'm going to type plus index. All right, so index is the layer stacking order, times, let's try it with 150. Almost there. Let's try it with 220. Maybe even a little bit more. I think I'm going to try it with 240. I think that's good. There is enough space difference. Now, there is only one last thing that I need to do, and that is to add a randomizer for the characters. All right, so for that, I'm going to add an animator. This is to layer 2. In other words, the top layer. I'm going to add an animator for the character offset. And now I'm going to change the value to 1, right? You see how immediately it changes, but I can't leave it like that. So each and every layer has to have different random characters, right? And I can do that through an expression, right? So Alt, click on the stopwatch, and then just multiply by index so that it's different for each and every one. All right? Now, if I duplicate the layer, I'm going to keep on getting more and more layers, which will be offset. But before doing that, I'm going to show the rulers, and I'm going to drag guides just so that I can make sure that this is the last line. This is where the animation will end. So I'm going to move my playhead all the way to the beginning. And now I'm going to start duplicating the layer. Control or Command D, and every time I do it, new and newer layers come. What I don't want to do is a layer that will go inside of that area that I created with the guides. And it's not, so we are good. And this is what we have. I'm going to pre-compose everything. So I'm going to select everything here, and I'm going to go to Layer, Pre-compose. I'm going to name this Main Characters. And there you have it. I'm going to go to the end of the animation. In other words, when we can see the words, these are rolling characters. And now I'm going to mask that layer with this rectangle. This is now what we have. I'm going to feather the mask a little bit. So F for feather, and I'm just going to feather it about yay. So maybe 43 pixels or something like that. And I just really need to see the last of the animation. And I think that's pretty good. Time to export the MORGT. So for that, I need the Essential Graphics panel. In the Essential Graphics panel, I need to select a composition to export, and that's going to be Comp 1. All right, this is going to be called Rolling Characters, right? And Comp 1, but the properties that will belong to the MORGT are in the main characters composition. In other words, inside of the pre-comp. So we have two things that we're going to add. The source text of the original layer, right? Source text, and then the color. All right, so text color. And I'm just naming them like yay. I'm going to save my composition, and now I'm going to go back to Comp 1, and now I can type anything I want in here. Adobe After Effects, and there it is, and there is the animation. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to export this MORGT. And we're going to do it a couple of ways. The first thing is we're going to save this, and now click on Export Motion Graphics Template. And that's going to open a new dialog, which is right here. This can go directly to my local templates folder, in which case it's going to be available for me in Adobe Premiere immediately. So the keywords are going to be rolling, and I usually write my name. That way I can find it pretty easily, right? So I'm just going to export it. And we're going to export it again as a standalone file. We could also export it to one of our Adobe libraries, etc., but I'm just going to go directly to my desktop. And again, the keywords will be rolling, Luisa. Click OK. It saves it, and there you have it. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Dr. Möhl. Thank you all. I'll see you on the next tutorial.